During a warm summer vacation, three close friends, Alex, Emma, and Mark, gathered for an exciting camping trip. They decided to venture into the depths of the forest for an adventure, unaware that it would become the most terrifying experience of their lives. As they lit the campfire and sat around it, they noticed that evening was approaching, and the silence of the forest sent chills down their spines. Emma, sitting by the campfire, heard a strange sound in the distance. She took a few steps forward and heard the rustling of something unseen among the trees. Mark said it might just be an animal, but Alex's face had turned pale. "No, this is different. It sounds like an incredible wind." Suddenly, a cloud of mist appeared, enveloping them. The mist separated them from each other. They began to scream in panic, but their voices rapidly faded away. Emma, slowly looking around, saw shadows moving between the trees. These were not ordinary shadows. They were shapeless figures slowly advancing towards her. Mark realized that the shadows were approaching and tried to increase the size of the fire to scare them away, but the fire suddenly extinguished. Alex felt like he was fading into the darkness suddenly. The shadows surrounded him and lifted him into the air as Alex struggled. Emma and Mark watched helplessly. The shadows suspended Alex high in a tree, and then they disappeared into the darkness. Emma and Mark, trapped within the mist, were pulled further into it and vanished. Days turned into weeks, but Alex, Emma, and Mark never returned. The story of the three friends who disappeared in the woods spread among campers. Those who believe that the woods were cursed and inhabited by paranormal beings decided never to approach it again. The truth remained elusive, but the conviction that mysterious things still happened in the heart of the woods endured. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the winding forest road, Sarah found herself embarking on a journey she would never forget. With a sense of adventure and the hum of her car's engine as her sole companion, she drove deeper into the heart of the unknown. Miles away from civilization, Sarah was a seasoned traveler, accustomed to long, solitary drives, but tonight was different. A palpable tension hung in the air, and the dense canopy of trees above her seemed to close in on the narrow road like gnarled fingers reaching for her miles from the nearest town. Sarah's car suddenly sputtered and came to an abrupt halt. Panic set in as she tried to restart it, but the engine remained eerily silent. She checked her phone, but there was no signal, and the forest around her seemed to swallow all signs of life. With no other option, she decided to venture outside to assess the situation. As she stepped out of the car, an icy chill swept through her. The forest was shrouded in an unnatural silence, devoid of the usual sounds of nocturnal creatures. The flickering moonlight cast unsettling shadows on the trees, and Sarah felt as if she were being watched. She reached for her flashlight, and as its beam pierced the darkness, she caught a glimpse of movement at the edge of the woods. It was a shadowy figure, indistinct and ghostly. Heart pounding, Sarah's rational mind struggled to make sense of the eerie presence. She retreated to the safety of her car, but the doors refused to lock, as if some unseen force held them open. Desperation gripped her as she fumbled with the keys, trying to restart the engine. Suddenly, the forest seemed to come alive with whispered voices that echoed in her mind. The voices spoke of ancient legends and forgotten rituals, of restless spirits that dwelled in these woods. Sarah's hands trembled as she clutched the steering wheel, trying to block out the haunting words. Then the car's headlights flickered to life, revealing a chilling sight. The ghostly figure she had glimpsed earlier now stood directly in front of her, its eyes empty voids that seemed to pierce into her soul. With a surge of terror, Sarah slammed her foot on the gas pedal, and the car roared to life as she sped away from that cursed forest road. The sinister presence faded into the darkness behind her. Sarah's heart raced as she finally reached the safety of civilization, but the memory of that nightmarish journey would haunt her for the rest of her days, a chilling reminder that some roads should never be traveled alone. In the quiet streets of a small town, an abandoned house had been forgotten for years. This old, dilapidated house was believed to be a place inhabited only by ghosts and underground legends. However, these rumors couldn't deter the siblings. Sophie and Ethan decided to explore this old house in search of their own adventure. As they opened the door to the house, it was filled with dust and neglect. Historical photographs, dusty porcelain, and covered up old belongings were traces of the house's past. But something caught their attention: the basement. Descending the old stairs, the basement seemed normal at first glance, but they found a peculiar journal hidden beneath a plaque. The journal was filled with strange rituals and dark curses. As Sophie and Ethan flipped through the journal with curiosity, the air suddenly darkened and the room's door locked shut. It was the beginning of a curse. Events that rapidly unfolded. Strange sounds echoed through the house. Shadows covered the walls, and old items came to life as ghosts. The siblings found themselves in the middle of a dark tale from the house's past. The cursed house led them on a dark journey. They had to face ghosts on one side and attempt to unravel the secrets of the curse on the other. As time passed, the bond between Sophie and Ethan grew stronger. However, this curse was merciless in its efforts to tear them apart. Eventually, they found themselves in a trap, and Sophie was gravely injured. Ethan, in a last-ditch effort to save his sister, tried to reverse the curse but failed. Sophie became a victim of the curse, and Ethan disappeared forever. The cursed house quietly vanished from sight, returning to the peaceful streets of the town. Sophie's death and Ethan's vanishing became a forgotten tale in the depths of the town. But the traces of the curse still lingered in that house, and this dark tale continued to exist as a story of a curse that even the bravest struggled to resist. The horrifying events experienced by Sophie and Ethan found a permanent place among the town's underground legends, even years later. Some brave explorers attempted to discover the cursed house, but now never returned, and the ghost of Sophie and Ethan still roamed that cursed house, trapped by the painful memories of their past. The complex and vibrant city of New York bore witness to the discovery of a mysterious VHS tape within the long-abandoned warehouse building. The building had been deserted for years, and its contents had been left to the passage of time. However, That enigmatic cassette held the carrier of a powerful curse, and the effects of this curse were about to grip the city's inhabitants. The person who found the tape was a young woman named Amy. While exploring the old warehouse, she stumbled upon the dusty box containing the VHS cassette. It bore no label, and Amy's curiosity led her to take it home and watch it. As she played the tape, the screen displayed strange and dreamlike imagery. Behind those seemingly meaningless visuals lay something that would forever alter Amy's life. Each time she watched the tape, more layers of mystery were unveiled. Initially, Amy experienced nothing more than bizarre dreams and odd sensations. However, over time, the boundaries between reality and nightmares started to blur. Amy began to realize that the tape's contents had an influence on her real-world experiences. Amy's strange behavior, shifting personality, and peculiar experiences didn't go unnoticed by her friends and family. Despite their attempts to help her, the curse of the tape continued to exert its control over her. Determined to unravel the secrets of the tape, Amy embarked on a journey to break the curse. With each step, she uncovered more about its dark origins and the cryptic messages hidden within. Her research led her to an encounter with an elderly psychic who guided her on a perilous path to end the curse. However, battling the curse came at a great cost for Amy. As she got closer to reversing it, the lines between her own existence and the sinister forces at play became increasingly blurred. In the end, she fell prey to the dark powers and became their vessel, leaving behind only the enigmatic cassette. That cassette quietly resurfaced, waiting for its next victim. Amy's story became a legend in the city, and the mysterious tape continued to draw unsuspecting souls into its malevolent web. On that fateful rainy night, the events that unfolded in the forest were etched into the memories of Sarah and David forever. The town, once known for its tranquility, became gripped by fear and sorrow. The killer was still on the loose, his identity hidden behind a mask, and the forest, once a place of solace and beauty, was now tainted by the gruesome events that had occurred. Sarah and David, the lone survivors, found themselves haunted by survivor's guilt. They couldn't shake the feeling that they should have done more to save Juliet and Mike, their friends who had met such a gruesome end. They attended therapy sessions to cope with the trauma, but the nightmares and the constant fear lingered. As the days turned into weeks, the town was consumed by the mystery of the killer. The police were relentless in their pursuit, conducting extensive searches of the forest and surrounding areas. Yet, the killer remained elusive, leaving behind only chilling traces of his presence. Sarah and David were determined to find justice. For their fallen friends, they embarked on their investigation, poring over any clues they could find and connecting the dots that the police had missed. They spoke to witnesses, reviewed security camera footage from nearby businesses, and tried to piece together the killer's identity. Their relentless pursuit of the truth led them deeper into the darkness of the forest. They discovered abandoned cabins, long-forgotten trails, and eerie landmarks that hinted at a hidden world beneath the trees. As they delved into the forest's mysteries, Sarah and David couldn't help but feel that they were being watched, that the killer was still out there, lurking in the shadows. One stormy night, as they ventured deeper into the forest than ever before, they stumbled upon a hidden cabin. Inside, they found a room filled with photographs and newspaper clippings. It was a chilling shrine dedicated to the murders, and it became clear that the killer was keeping tabs on their every move. Terrified and desperate, Sarah and David realized that their quest for justice had placed them squarely in the crosshairs of the killer. They made a fateful decision to go public with the evidence they had uncovered, hoping to draw the killer out of hiding and into the hands of the law. Their bold move put the town on edge, and the killer, now feeling the heat closing in on him, became more brazen in his actions. The climax of their story approached as the town held its collective breath, waiting for the final confrontation between Sarah, David, and the elusive killer. The rainy nightmare in the depths of the forest had gripped the town's imagination and would soon reach its terrifying climax as the battle between justice and malevolence hurtled towards its conclusion. The forest, once a place of beauty, now stood as a haunting backdrop for the chilling showdown that would decide the fate of all involved. The cold and high-altitude mountains of Colorado have always held a captivating allure for adventurers, for friends chose to camp at the foothills of these mountains next to an abandoned caravan. Their names were Emily, Ben, Lily, and Jake. However, on this cold winter night, they had no idea that this innocent excursion would turn into a horrific nightmare. Emily and Ben sat inside the caravan, sipping hot tea and chatting. Lily and Jake were outside, tending to the campfire, but they felt that something was amiss. The sound of the wind and the snowstorm pierced through the silence. While sitting inside the caravan, Emily heard a rustling sound. When she looked outside, she noticed a figure approaching from the depths of the forest. Initially, they thought it was just a snowstorm, but as the figure drew closer, it became more distinct. It was a human silhouette. In a panic, the four friends rushed outside, but the figure was closing in rapidly. Emily and Ben managed to get inside the caravan, but Lily and Jake were left outside. The shadow began knocking on the caravan's door. Emily and Ben, in fear, held the door tightly, but they could hear the screams and struggle happening outside. Lily and Jake were brutally killed. Emily and Ben hid inside the caravan until morning, waiting for the shadow to leave. However, when morning came, they found no traces outside. The killer had vanished without a trace. In shock, Emily and Ben returned to town and recounted the night's events to the police. However, the police struggled to identify the killer. The abandoned caravan began to be regarded as a carrier of a dark curse. Emily and Ben, as the survivors, carried the scars of the terrifying incident with them. The cursed caravan on the snowy summit continued to linger among the town's urban legends. Yet, the mystery of that winter night and the curse of the abandoned caravan still roamed those mountains, waiting for its next victim to be found.